day for it.
Sun's shining.
Welcome to the GIO 2018 IWRF Wheelchair Rugby World Championship game in Sydney, Australia. This game is between Poland and Colombia, and they are competing for 10th place. These teams have already met once this week. Colombia came out on top in that match. Obviously, Poland looking for an opportunity to get some revenge. But they've also played 2 other times this year, both in Switzerland at another tournament where Poland came out on top. Once double overtime, and the other one was a little more decisive. So I think these teams are matched up pretty well. What do you think, Jono?
Yeah, I think so, Dave. Good morning to you. Poland are a side that can really surprise. You know, I've seen them a lot on this court. They've got some real strength with Wolfchuk and Henic coming up front. First time I saw Colombia yesterday. Nice work from Rodriguez, and of course their big 3.5 in Orozco. So talent on both sides. Hard to call it. I'd probably head-to-head. I'd probably have to go with the Polish side. But Colombia, they're a side that keeps fighting and stays right into the game, as we saw yesterday against New Zealand.
This is a different starting lineup too for Colombia. Paula Martinez hasn't started any of the games that I've watched yet so far. So it'll be interesting to see how she plays a role in this. And the tip, Roscoe gets it down, but he picked it up after losing it. Carlos Neme hanging on. And he's got Vargas for the first try of the game.
Good start for Colombia. They needed to get that first point on the board against Poland. Nice work from Martinez. She started in the game against New Zealand, so back-to-back games on the key centre.
And that was a big win for them. That put them in this game. So
double overtime.
You run the hot hands, right?
Yep.
So that turnover results in Colombia ball. They'll get an opportunity to get a bit of a lead here. Roscoe calling a play. Most of the Colombian plays start that way. They all just follow him in. It's a unique approach. I don't usually see that kind of play.
Yeah, they tried it a couple of times against New Zealand yesterday, so it seems like they're going that way again. But really nice protection close to the line by Martinez, but here comes Poland.
That was Kapusta getting it off to Rocky for their first try. And Martinez will inbound for Colombia. Colombia trying to hold Rocky there in the key. Maybe get a 10-second, force him to take an inbound. Third try for Colombia, Orozco. We're going to call his name a lot today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Krzysztof Kapusta, a solid player for Poland. Nice work there close to the line from Colombia, but just couldn't get the job done, and here comes Poland.
So Kapusta will try and beat Neme. He's got a pick. Lakmanovic gets the try. So Martinez, she's always looking for Roscoe, but with Vargas there, she's got 2 options. Colombia doesn't generally use the give and go if they can avoid it, especially when you got a low pointer to a low pointer.
Yeah, Julian Vargas as Rocky gets a tyre change. Vargas was a pretty key player yesterday, but Roscoe, the man with the ball, he just was so dominant, especially in the final stages against the Kiwis, and here he goes again for Colombia.
And as dominant as Roscoe is, you can't at this level succeed with just one great player. You need to have a team.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
So Neme lost the handle of that pass, but Rocky trying to pick it up, crossed the line. And the active goal line, if you cross it without the ball, doesn't matter what team you're on, that results in a penalty. So he will go into the penalty box, and Colombia will have a man advantage for either 60 seconds or until they score, whichever comes first.
Big games coming up later today. USA, Great Britain for bronze, and then, of course, Australia, Japan. Dave, being an American, how do you think they'll go against Great Britain for bronze?
It's always a good game when those two teams get together, but USA didn't put on a good show yesterday with Japan. They really had difficulty, unforced errors. If they can't recover mentally from that, they're vulnerable. GB played great yesterday against Australia. I think a lot of people will say that they're the favorite to take home that medal.
Yeah, they should be. Japan are a side that's really surprised me. I thought when they played each other, Australia-Japan, on Wednesday, and Australia were dominant, I thought maybe it might have been an Australia-USA final, and was a little surprised that the Americans couldn't get the job done yesterday. So,
especially after their win at the Canada Cup. They played most of these teams there. So it's certainly different than, expectations are always set, but the teams have to play. That's where we end up having sport. We don't need to give out trophies to people who are ranked and make those decisions that way. It's no fun.
Yeah, I think it was the golfer Jack Nicklaus that once said, everybody feels pressure, just everybody shows it different ways.
Right.
And we certainly saw that way.
We're going to see in this game who's going to be able to handle the pressure best. This is probably the most intense pressure that either of these teams have ever faced.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Great game here, though. Colombia just in front, as you can see, 4-2. But Poland, they seem to be starting a little bit slower, and they look as though they've got their first time out taken. Have you enjoyed the championships over the last 6 days, Dave?
Oh, it's been great. The hospitality here in Australia is second to none. These venues are great. Obviously, they were Olympic venues, so everything that we've seen here, the volunteers, the organization of the whole thing, and I think as a spectator, when I'm not working, it's just really a fun place to watch.
Yeah. Of course, the Australians played back in the year 2000 at the Olympics, the Paralympics, in this very venue. So, a bit of history. The old former State Sports Centre, now Key Centre.
There are a couple of guys here that played in those games, but I don't know that any of them are on rosters at this point. Like Dave Wilsey is a coach for Canada.
Yep.
He's here. I know that this was his first.
Yeah, I called a couple of games with Grant Sharman, the former Kiwi coach. He was playing for the Kiwis in that year, 2000. So it was great to have him up
Grant's
in the broadcast
a great guy.
box.
He knows a lot about the sport.
Certainly does.
So Roscoe's going to work the corner here. Martinez and Charlie both. It's interesting how Poland collapsed to one side. Colombia had 3/4 of the key to themselves, and Roscoe is still able to score in the opposite corner.
Yeah, it's incredible how they can just move so freely with limited real estate close to that post. And they move it nicely through Schwostak here, just inside that defensive pattern.
I love Schwostak's beard.
Yes.
Good spacing there. Oh, but that pass almost given up. Nice job. Good hands by Kapusta. So we've got a 5-4 match here with 5:20 left. Colombia still on top and the ball. Roscoe loses the handle. That's unfortunate. That's the bad side. He doesn't have a hand on that side. So when he made that turn and he tried to hold the ball in with his wrist, wasn't able to do so, and it got away. This is a great opportunity for Poland.
Oh, huge. Trying to get themselves back level peg with Colombia.
It's really only 2 turnovers so far in this game. Kapusta all by himself. Gets the try. And Poland looking like they're going to drop in the key. But because Kapusta was held on the back pick, they had to come and attack. A mishandled inbound. And Poland again, another opportunity. This time they'll have a chance to take the lead for the first time in the game. Martinez gets her hand in there and steals it. Roscoe trying to hang on. And we got the foul. He had enough of it that the referee said they weren't fighting anymore. Roscoe had possession, and Kapusta was invading his space by grabbing onto his arm.
Yeah, 4:40 to go in this first term, 5-all. So pretty solid contest that we're seeing between these two sides. It's been wonderful, Dave, to have the support of GIO, City, Land Rover. Of course, the support from the Australian and state governments and the Defence Force, Rugby AU and Wheelchair Sports New South Wales. You would have seen a lot of members of the Australian Defence Force all dressed in their uniforms around the place over the last few days.
They're here all week. They've been walking the teams out before games. I haven't had a chance to meet anybody, but hopefully I will before I leave.
Such a dominant player, Roscoe, isn't he, for Colombia? Just really involved in everything.
Yeah, he's aggressive on offense and defense, and it's really difficult to stop.
I've been impressed with Carlos Neme too for Colombia. Nice man in the middle to have.
He's a great leader on his team, not just a great player. He really pulls the team together. They're a young team, and you can let emotion take control of your game and lose your competitive edge, and he does a good job of bringing everybody back together. Sometimes that means yelling at him, and sometimes it means just calming him down. But he seems to know when to do both. Roscoe trying to push into the meter. Rocky Kapusta gets around, ducks underneath. We have a loose ball. Poland trying to save it. Unable to get possession before the line. Another turnover. Polish coach will call a bench timeout. They got 60 seconds to try and calm his guys down and get them back on the game plan. And that whole collection of turnovers for Colombia is really big because they lost two and they got them both back now. They have the opportunity to, again, make it a two-try match.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a huge advantage when the scores are so close. You can see Rodriguez warming up there in the 10. Really dominant player yesterday, especially in the clutch situation when we went double overtime. It was just creating so many holes and worked really nicely with Orozco.
I have to say I'm a little bit invested in Colombia, so I feel I was watching that game for a while, and when it got to be 3 points and it was close to the end, all I could think was I can't watch them implode, and I actually left the building. So I saw the end of double overtime on a television in the other building. I'm so disappointed I didn't stay.
You always stay to the final whistle.
I've learned my lesson.
I think Grant and I were reaching for the soothers. It was an epic game.
So Colombia shorthanded, but with the ball, and they get it in bounds, and that's as big of a struggle as anything. Vargas chasing it down. Is he going to get it? And no, he hits the post, and that's not a try.
Great hustle, though.
It's difficult to maintain control of your chair and catch a ball like that and then make that turn when you're coming at that cone. And the way he hit that, it was clear that he didn't really have a lot of room. He'd had to basically come to a complete stop while turning. Roscoe gets in a little hit. Up to Rocky. And Vargas gets in there. Nice job by Vargas defensively. And we have an equipment timeout. Looks like it might be another wheel. We go through tires in this sport quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know the national championships last year that I was lucky enough to call. The commentary team were keeping track of it. 72 over 4 days.
Wow. That's the beauty of the quick release wheel, though. As you can see, they just pop one off, pop the next one on. And I know for the U.S. team, the equipment guy has to be able to change a tire in 60 seconds.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the I think that's the standard rule, yeah. I was chatting to one of the team managers, Gary Pate, who joined me on the first day in commentary, and he was saying that they train for it, they prepare for it, so that they can get it in
they have to
quickly.
You know, crew is something that you don't see and you shouldn't see. They shouldn't be an issue, right? You have to be able to rely on them to play the game.
Yeah.
Neme with the try. Rocky gets it back. And Roscoe is the only one he has to beat. He won't.
Nice collision.
Little muscle, threw some hips into that one. Roscoe's going to be a little more prone to go over because he gets his weight up high in his chair when he's trying to block things.
Yeah, nice work from Rocky here, and you can see Roscoe coming at him. Bang! And they go together. Real body on the line stuff, so it's good to see him back on two wheels.
And Martina's still in the box. Her minute has to be close to over. But Colombia doing a great job for being shorthanded. Still up 2 tries. Poland looking to make it 1. Kapusta. Martinez into Neme. Neme looking for a place to throw it, but we've got another equipment issue. Is that Wowzak?
Yeah, it would seem like it. He's getting a tyre change, as you can see there.
He just came onto the floor.
Solid player. Really tough player.
So do we have any fans for Colombia here today?
So Colombia holding on here, Dave, but Poland, you can see them starting to really combine nicely and get themselves back in this contest.
As long as they don't let themselves get behind, they'll be okay. 2 scores is easy to make up at any point in the game. Vargas does a nice job that time getting inside the post. And I'm sure he's happy to have Martinez back on the floor. As a high pointer myself, not having that picker chair in front of you is much more difficult. Neme gets his teeth into Wowzak. Vargas as well. But a nice pass there. Kapusta racking up the tries today.
Yeah, he's been scoring plenty for Poland over the last 6 days.
We'll see Poland now trying to slow things down, dropping in the key. They've done that a lot this week. I think they feel their chances to create a turnover are better inside the key.
Yeah, you can see Orozco just working the fringes. Nice work from Martinez, close to the line.
And Colombia holding on to the chaser up front, and we have equipment.
Martinez getting a tyre change there.
It looks like Martinez and Wowzak are hooked up. They can't get the chairs apart. I know my son Elliot and my wife Chelsea are listening right now, so I'll give them a shout out.
Oh, there you go. They'll be
it's
watching.
Pretty late for them. I'm sure it's Elliot's bedtime.
LA, right. Yeah, the coverage has been pretty strong the last couple of days, Dave. It's been great to see so many people from all parts of the world watching the action.
Yeah, there are lots of comments on Facebook and on the IWRF feed about people even from countries that aren't represented.
Yeah.
Roscoe looking for help. Neme can't get the pass. Kapusta, the beneficiary of that fumble. And Colombia trying to get it back with some reaching. Wowzak over the top to Rocky. And that'll tie us up at 8 with just under 2 minutes left in this first period. So far this game has been everything it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it was so strong and such a great piece of play there from Poland to get themselves back in it. We spoke about catching up. Well, you spoke about that 2-goal margin and getting it, but they've done enough. As you can see, Colombia just having a bit of a board meeting there, close to the sideline. Rodriguez still warming up. But, yeah, a great game inside these final 2 minutes of this first term here, Dave.
The crowds really make a difference, too. I did notice that the volume of the crowd creates an artificial intensity when you're playing defense or offense.
Yeah.
And it made a difference in the France GB game.
Yep.
Significantly. It was like a fifth player for GB.
Yeah, the smaller venue at the netball centre would also help.
Absolutely.
It would sound a lot louder there.
So Roscoe trying to get that corner. Neme unable to get rid of Rocky. So he'll try and switch to the middle. Vargas now in position. But we have a player that crossed the line without the ball, and that's a penalty. Doesn't matter which team they're on. If the active goal line is crossed by a player without the ball, they get a penalty. But because it was the defense, he'll go to the box. If it was offense, it would have been a turnover.
So for those that don't know, tell us about your history in wheelchair sports, Dave.
My name's Dave Mengen. I'm the commissioner of the USQRA, which is the governing body of rugby in the United States. I've been playing for about 17 years, play with the Detroit team, and I've been doing commentary for games since, I'd say, London 2012. I love it. I'm going to sit in the stands and talk about it and make comments about play, so I might as well do it under the microphone so that people at home can have somebody to agree with or disagree with.
Yeah, I've seen some of your games over at the Netball Centre. You've done a wonderful job this week, Dave.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I'm glad I had the opportunity to work with you.
Yeah, we've been trying to work that out for a couple of days. So
I was looking forward to the Colombia-New Zealand game yesterday and ended up I was helping out on the other side, so I worked that game.
Yes.
But I did, like I said, I got to see the end of it, the very end.
Yes.
So Roscoe trying to set up a play here. Pulling it again in the key. Roscoe inside, and that's going to be a vertical spin. Anytime you hit some guy from behind and he flips over, you're going to the box.
It's amazing. Molly Gray, who's been doing some commentary with me this week and done a great job, we were talking that it's amazing after 6 days of really intense competition on both this court, the Key Centre, and the Netball Centre, we haven't seen a major injury like any head knocks or concussions or those sort of things. It's incredible.
I saw one France player, I'm trying to remember his name. He got hit from behind pretty hard, and he whacked his head, and they took him out.
Yeah, right.
And he had to go under concussion protocol, couldn't play the rest of the day.
Sure.
He seems to be okay, but he told me that he couldn't see when he came, they flipped him over. So,
Yeah.
But normally, you don't see a lot of injuries. The perception of violence is because of the smashing of the chairs, but it's a suit of armor. I mean,
Yeah.
You're really protected unless you put your hands down at the floor where somebody could smash it between chairs.
Yep.
You'll get repetitive motion injuries, and you'll hit your elbow or your head when you fall, but you shouldn't be falling that much. The equipment has come so far since I first played in 1992, and I lost the sport for 10 years, but we played in our everyday chairs. So first of all, you couldn't hit that hard because you would go flying from your chair.
Yeah.
But secondly, you have to use that chair for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
So you don't want to damage it.
Yeah.
And these chairs are specialized. They're built specifically to the player, length, width. There's like 24 different measurements. And then there's all these accessories. You see the little cow catcher on the front of a low pointer's chair so that he can be a pain in the butt to a guy like me who handles the ball. Or he can be my best friend. And that's a spin.
It's Vargas that's gone down for Colombia.
If I didn't know better, I'd say that was retaliation, but I don't think it was. I think it was just he was trying to slow the player down because he knew he couldn't stop him.
You can see Vargas going there through.
That clearly a spin.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. The number 11 for Colombia, Julian Vargas.
It's great to see really sizable crowds this week right across the tournament. It's hard to get people here during the week, obviously with work commitments, but plenty of people out here.
Some groups of children, like from school, which was great.
Yep.
And I heard them cheering yesterday. They were like argue cheering, for Colombia and New Zealand.
Yeah, it was a terrific crowd here yesterday afternoon for the Australia-Great Britain crowd.
Poland now with a 2-try advantage.
Haven't they lifted in this game, Dave?
I'm sorry. What?
Haven't they lifted in this game, being down 2 by 2 and now lead by 2?
Yeah, a lot of lead changes. And that'll be over and back. He should know better. That's a rookie mistake. Vargas has been playing for a few years, but this is his first year that he's spent any time in the starting lineup like that. And he should know better, but in that kind of situation, you're looking to get rid of the ball when you come up to that line, or you need to pull away. And he didn't have an opportunity to pull away, and he didn't see a pass option. So looks like they're going to put him on the bench.
Yeah, coach's timeout called for Colombia, so they're down to 1 as well as Poland, and there's 3 regular timeouts for Poland and still
that's
the
a
4
big
for
turnover
Colombia.
Because not only is Poland up by 2, they have the chance with 20 seconds left to score the last goal, and the possession arrow's in their favor, which means they have the opportunity to score the first goal of the next quarter, which means they could be up by 4, all said and done. Now, Poland is shorthanded. Roscoe gets in there for the pass, but he can't stop it. Colombia all they can do here is try to keep Poland from scoring with 20 seconds left. Down to 9 now. Rocky looking for a way around. Roscoe looking back, didn't get through. He gave up his opportunity to stop that ball.
Yeah.
And only 1.4 seconds left, even with all 4 guys, you're not going to get there. So at the end of this first period where it's 12 Poland, 9 Colombia, we'll take a 2-minute break and see you then.
Hello, Jean. Good of you to let your husband borrow your brand new car. Your insurance covers you, though, right?
I think so.
Ah, Jenny, you got a new employee and a new Narazzo 1300. That machine's insured, isn't it? Date night, eh?
Yeah, and our daughter's having a few friends over.
Yeah, I saw that on social media. I take it your home is insured for that. Don't just think you're covered, know you are with GIO.
See, feel, climb. First out, last in. Look round corners, look in crannies. Go down dark alleys, lose yourself. Catch a lift, break new ground. Turn things inside out. Go walkabout, get set. Go after the goosebumps. Never stop discovering.
Linda, Lindsay, look at you two. Date night?
Our daughter set it up.
Well, that is a thoughtful child.
I know, right? She even booked us dinner in a hotel. She might even have a few friends over.
Yeah, I reckon there's 120 people coming to your house tonight. You are insured, aren't you? Don't just think your home is covered. Know it is, with accidental damage cover with GIO Platinum Home Insurance.
Welcome back here to the GIO 2018 IWRF Wheelchair Rugby World Championship. This game, Colombia and Poland, we're in the second quarter, and Poland is up by 3 tries. We're here in Sydney, Australia at the Olympic Park. Beautiful venue. Lots of people here enjoying the tournament. And we already have a stoppage. I think that was equipment. Somebody was hooked. Couldn't get off of another chair. So Wowzak looking for a place to get rid of the ball. They're shorthanded. And they scored shorthanded at the end of the first. So he'll want to wait for his 4th player to come back, which he does. And now they can attack normally. A strip ball, but Wowzak gets it back. Rocky trying to get that corner. And we have leaving the court. That was a Colombian player that crossed the line. They'll just call that a penalty goal.
Yeah, nice start from Poland. They were down by 2 late in that first term, but they now lead by 4 as Colombia try to work it out of that defensive try line. Strong
Orozco's
hustle there from Poland.
You see Orozco stuck there in the corner. He's trying to make sure he doesn't get pushed across that line. He had to call timeout. So Poland will take that as a victory, forcing Colombia to take a timeout and drop back into the key, which seems to be their preference so far in this game. 13-9, Poland on top, the Colombian attacking. Venegas coming in last behind Neme, gets the corner. He should be setting himself up to catch a pass, but Orozco's got a big hole. Kapusta trapped to Wowzak, and he will race Roscoe. Roscoe gets him. Venegas there too. Both high pointers on the same player. You don't want to see that pretty often. You can't have your two best guys on one guy, or the other three are going to have a lot easier time, or your more functional guys. I don't want to say best.
I notice Kashida is on there for Poland in the 8-jumper. Really solid player yesterday against the Kiwis, and such a strong defensive man in that clutch situation when you're going for that try, Dave.
And you need guys like that. I know as a ball handler, without a good picker, my job is impossible, especially since I don't have the speed of any of these guys. A good low pointer can make an average high pointer look really good. Wowzak gets a nice pass from Rocky. And they'll keep it at 3. Now dropping back. Columbia setting up their attack. And Poland certainly has the time to sit in the key. Rodriguez had his corner, but Rocky takes it away. Roscoe looking for a passing option or a hole. And now he allows Rodriguez to hold that corner for him by coming into the middle. He forced the Poland players to move in. And Rodriguez steals the space away.
Geez, Kashida worked really well on a Roscoe there, Dave. Nice pass to Wolfchuk.
How do you pronounce that? Wolfchuk?
Wolfchuk, yeah.
I've been calling him a Wowzak all week. Wolfchuk, okay.
Oh, I've got a couple of them wrong myself, so
I'm
welcome
just
to that
reading
club.
it the way it looks, right?
Yeah, that's what I usually go until they correct you.
So Vargas will get the try, keeping Columbia within 2. Roscoe on Kapusta. Now I've got Rodriguez on Kapusta. Roscoe waiting up top. And they have to call timeout. That's a big play by Columbia. Good defense. That'll put Poland down to 2 timeouts of the 4 that they have for the game. And those timeouts are the ones that they can use to rescue themselves from trouble. The coach timeouts, which are twice as long, you can only call if the ball is dead, if it's out of bounds or on an inbound play.
Yeah, it's really interesting. A couple of the games yesterday and on day 4, a lot of the teams here at the Key Centre were using those 4 timeouts in that opening term. I know Ireland used their 4 in their last game here against the Aussies, and it was just interesting to see how teams use those timeouts, whether it be a coaching timeout or the regular timeout. And some were really scrambling and, smashing them in that first term. Others were sort of pacing themselves a little bit like Colombia and Poland are doing here.
Anytime you use a timeout to save you from a turnover, it's well spent, whether that be the first quarter or the last quarter. But you can't take them to the next game, and let's face it, there's no next game here. Neme, jump ball. And Poland will get that based on the possession arrow. 15-13, Poland on top of Colombia. 5 minutes and 10 seconds left in the second quarter. And the referee will bring that one back. Scoring table has some issue. Colombia trying to get position here. Now I'm afraid to say his name because I know I'm saying it wrong. Can you turn him up for me? I can't hear him at all. Thank you. Rocky has Roscoe in his way, and Neme, and now Venegas. Poland only 15 seconds left on the shot clock. I don't know if Rocky knows he's got that trouble, but he calls equipment. I'm not sure who has the problem, but this gives Columbia an opportunity to set up in the key with only 9 seconds left on the shot clock.
Yeah, they seem to panic a little bit there, Poland, with that shot clock there. I'm not sure if Rocky sensed that his tie was gone early and then just called it, but they seem to play a different style of wheelchair rugby there. They still lead by 2, as you can see.
You know, that equipment timeout can be a tricky thing. You don't want to stop your team's momentum if they can go without you.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of teams score tries with flat tyres.
He's got an opening in the corner if he can get it there. And they run out of time. The 40-second shot clock expires. Good defense there by Columbia.
Didn't really panic there, and Poland were playing some nice free open rugby.
He had a pass option. He just couldn't see it because the Colombian players had turned his chair so that he didn't have a good view of the key.
Massive change here for Poland. Henich on for them. Really tough, hard player through the middle. Of course, tonight, Dave, if you're in the market for a new wheelchair rugby chair, the IWRF, they're going to be auctioning off a Vesco competition wheelchair. It's valued at almost $9,000. All the proceeds will go to support the IWRF Hall of Fame, a wonderful cause. It's proudly sponsored by Vesco Metalcraft. I encourage you to get involved. Sign up online, IWRF.com.
And if you want to get your name on that list, you can always PM me if you know me, and I'll find somebody to represent you. We just need to know what your top number is for that chair. Because you have to be present to vote, or to bid, I'm sorry. But we can certainly do that for you. Oh, Venegas gets a pushing call. If you're trying to push somebody forward, if they resist, you can't force them further unless you break contact and hit them again. So you'll see players bam, bam, bam trying to knock somebody. But if somebody's not resisting, you can push them around all you want.
Yep.
And that play takes away an opportunity from Columbia to get back in the game. Roscoe with a great hit from behind pushes Henich into the post. Henich not ready for that. I don't know if he didn't know it was coming or he just wasn't anticipating. So he just gives him a little love tap here right at the end. And as he tries to turn back, he just gets hung up on the post. So Columbia gets it back.
Yeah, it was good hustle as well from Giovanni Venegas in the 25 for Columbia. He sort of gave a nice little rails run for Orozco to get there. But yeah, you're right. Good hustle. Poland starting to play some pretty classy wheelchair rugby here, and Columbia, all the pressure goes back onto them, Dave, after such a great start.
Yeah, they were up by 3 at one point, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a big turnaround. But again, it's close enough that a mental lapse and recovering from that mental lapse, you can score 2 pretty quickly. Venegas went into Roscoe's hole rather than going to the other side. And Rodriguez opens that one up for him. Now it is a one-try game. 15 for Poland, 14 for Columbia. But Poland with the ball. Rocky up on top. Witkowski gets it to Rocky, and that's a spin. He got him from behind, went up onto the side. They're going to call that. There's just a risk of safety. They're trying to make sure they maintain control of the game.
Smart play.
If the referees let you get away with that, then you're going to see more of it.
Yeah. Looks like there's a player in the bin.
It's Roscoe.
Yep. Columbia down to 3.
Looks like Kapusta is going to take his time. They're going to try and set up something defensively here so that makes it more difficult for Columbia to get the ball in after he scores. So Roscoe is forced to call inbounder rather than be trapped on the sideline. And he'll be looking for Venegas, but he's not going to get there. Now the give and go. Here we go. Venegas does get underneath. He's got Rodriguez up top. And he's running out of time. Shot clock at 31. And that was a necessary timeout. He wasn't going to get across half.
Yeah.
So Colombia will regroup. Poland will drop into the key. And with a 2-try advantage, Poland will try and work this clock down. We only have 3 minutes left in this half. This is the final game for both teams.
How have you seen the sport change, Dave, in your time?
The biggest changes in the sport come from the changes in the equipment.
Yeah.
Really.
Is it a technology thing or just a learning thing?
Introducing things like wings and pickers and ball holders, and as players learn what the rules are on the court, they're also able to make adjustments in their chair, like from a width perspective, you have less camber in your chair, or you're able to shorten up the length so that you spin faster. But one of the biggest things as far as gameplay is the introduction of the 40-second clock.
Right.
There was a time where you could see a half where neither team scored more than 3 points.
Oh, wow, okay.
And that's because they had the opportunity to keep attacking, and if you can't get through the key, you pull back, you regroup, and you try again. Saw that in Beijing, Canada, USA. I think it's made it a much better game, not just from a player perspective, but from a spectator's perspective. So Roscoe gets bumped out of bounds, and he will go into the box for that. It was the goal line that he crossed. Do you see much difference in the play in Australia from a club league kind of situation as opposed to the international stage?
Yeah, a little bit. The intensity of it is a little higher at the international level, but the talent is certainly not quite as strong. But, yeah, look, it's a great competition. You know, we've got some wonderful sides, the New South Wales Gladiators, the Suncorp Queensland Cyclones. It's a real shame that two teams aren't in that domestic competition in the Asteron West Coast Enforcers from Western Australia and the Amy Sharks from South Australia. So, you've just got the New South Wales side, the Queensland side, the Victorian side. They're performing really well. But it's been great to have teams like Japan and Canada the last couple of years at that domestic level. That's really improved the competition. And last year we had the test event here. Japan and Canada were the two finalists for the gold, Japan taking the win. But I thought that it really improved the tournament and prepared a lot of those players that are now in the Australian side for this tournament. It really lifted another cog.
I know that at the international level, when you have a bat and a bond together, I think what got them over the hump is that their low point play got better.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
I know Riley and Bond both played in the U.S. for a little while.
Yep.
And I think that helped improve their gamemanship, but it's the low pointers that made the difference, that got them over the hump so that they weren't coming home with the silver, they were coming home with the gold.
Yeah, and just to give you some reference on the low pointers, you're talking about Michael Ozan, guys like Jason Lees,
Absolutely.
Ben Fawcett, they've been superb. And I've got to really hand a big amount of credit to Brad Dooley, the coach of the Australian side. He's made this team so very different for every clash they've played. It's almost like they really take game by game by game and just do video and all that sort of research and preparation, because every time you see the Australian Steelers, there's just subtle changes to their play, and it's been really great to see.
Big turnover there. Colombia gives it up again to Poland. Still only a 1 point game. We've seen some sloppiness out there.
Yeah, the game's going at a pretty quick pace because we've only got a minute left in this first half or the second period.
Poland here looking to capitalize and also set themselves up for the last goal of the half. Kapusta scores with 55. That's the magic number. 55 seconds means that even if Colombia uses up all 40 of theirs, Poland will have 15 more seconds to try and score the last goal. Roscoe's going to try and get down there quickly. If he can score under 40, that guarantees Colombia another possession, barring some unusual incident. So Poland's play here is to try and score with as little time on the clock as possible and keep Colombia from getting back the point that they make. And, oh, we have a jump ball? No, timeout. I thought she was going to call a jump there. Venegas got his hand in there, and Poland uses another timeout. They already used 9 seconds on that shot clock. And there's only a 2.5 second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. So they can run it down.
Yeah, interesting that both sides have one coaching timeout and one regular timeout. That could prove costly. I know that Colombia, they ran out of timeouts sort of around the mid-period of the third term, which sort of created a few issues for them in that final quarter.
Henich with the ball. Christian Amaya in number 9 for Colombia. He's a 2, or a deuce as we call him. Back to Kapusta. He's got 2 men on him. Running out of time, 10 seconds. He's got that corner opened up for him by Henich. And now with just under 7 seconds, Colombia will try and get one more going into the half. Amaya. He's got an attacker. He throws it up to Roscoe, who's got 1.2 seconds, not enough time. So Poland will go into halftime with a 2-point advantage, but Colombia does have the possession arrow, so they'll get the first chance in the next half.
Should be a great second half, Dave.
Really looking forward to it. See you in about 5 minutes.
Hello, Jean. Good of you to let your husband borrow your brand new car. Your insurance covers you, though, right?
I think so.
Jenny, you got a new employee and a new Narazzo 1300. That machine's insured, isn't it? Date night, eh?
Yeah, and our daughter's having a few friends over.
Yeah, I saw that on social media. I take it your home is insured for that. Don't just think you're covered, know you are with GIO.
See, feel, climb. First out, last in. Look round corners, look in crannies. Go down dark alleys, lose yourself. Catch a lift, break new ground. Turn things inside out. Go walkabout, get set. Go after the goosebumps. Never stop discovering.
Linda, Lindsay, look at you two. Date night?
Our daughter set it up.
Well, that is a thoughtful child.
I know, right? She even booked us dinner in a hotel. She might even have a few friends over.
Yeah, I reckon there's 120 people coming to your house tonight. You are insured, aren't you? Don't just think your home is covered. Know it is. With accidental damage cover with GIO Platinum Home Insurance.
What do you think, folks? Can Poland go on to win this game today? Some supporters in the ground, or is it going to be Colombia? Well, time will tell as we enter into the third period of Colombia West Poland. Playing for Colombia by Klaus Müller.
Welcome back to the second half of the GIO 2018 IWRF Wheelchair Rugby World Championships. This match, Colombia and Poland. Poland up by 2. But Colombia with the opportunity to score first blood. And now it's a 1-point game. What are your thoughts so far?
Been a very interesting game. Poland, they started a little bit slow. Colombia started fast, and it's gone an opposite way now, hasn't it? And now Poland's starting to show a little bit of dominance, but they've made a couple of changes, and Colombia are just reading Poland well. This is great connectivity for them as Witkowski goes in for the try. But yeah,
we've seen 2 try leads from both teams twice. So I don't feel like I've seen anybody in control. Usually the timeouts will tell you the tail of the tape.
Yeah, sure.
If one team has 3 and one team has none, well, that's because they've been rescuing themselves with those timeouts. Neme is being held off the court. He should be allowed to get back on the court, but the referee's not there. But Colombia able to score without him. Henich has Neme there, but he'll get around it. Neme with the reach. They give him a penalty goal.
Back to that 2-goal margin, Dave, and Poland, they're finding some ways to score goals, and when they do, they're pretty classy, aren't they? They've got great connectivity across the court.
Yeah, they're doing a great job with distribution of the ball and spacing. Just by creating space, you can give yourself lots of opportunities. So much easier to defend 2 people when they're close together than when they're far apart. In trouble there is Rodriguez. Roscoe trying to help him out, and instead of getting in his way so that he couldn't be pushed across, he tried to get to where he could get the ball on the right side of the line, and they had to use their last timeout. I think if he had put his chair in front of Rodriguez, he would have at least had the opportunity to get Rodriguez turned so he wouldn't go push across that line.
Yeah.
So Poland back in the key. They seem to be happy with how they're doing back there because they keep going there. And Roscoe will run his play. Dips to the outside, tries to pull the corner out. And now that corner is facing the goal. Roscoe was going to come in and hit Rodriguez from behind to try and knock number 11, Henich, across. But now we have a... What do we got here? Is it equipment? Referee called something. That's not going to be a try.
Yeah, it looks like a tyre change there to the number 9 for Colombia.
That's a mistake.
In Amaya.
He shouldn't be calling an equipment timeout unless they absolutely need it when he has a chance to score. Because now Poland gets to set back up. And they don't have much time, 7 seconds on the shot clock and no timeouts. But Roscoe gets underneath. He's got Rodriguez there to help him. If Neme can get him the ball, he should be able to fight his way inside. 4 in the key. That is 4 in the key. No, leaving the court. Roscoe gets bumped out. How did they not get a 4 in the key call there? Christian Amaya goes in for the hit.
Yeah, interesting. And things seem to almost be on pause motion, didn't they, Dave, for that? So
people trying to figure out what's going on. And when you get everybody piled up like that, trying to keep a high pointer from getting the ball inbound, the far side of the key is wide open. Henich around the outside.
Yeah, really nice battle with Neme close to the sideline, wasn't it, in those lead up to that try?
And that turnover big again for Poland, giving them now a 3-point advantage. Roscoe leading the defense again, all the way to the side. Trying to score on Henich, and he does. 22-20, Poland with the 2-try advantage. 6:13 left in this third period. Rocky is again looking for Henich. Vargas back in is keeping him from getting along the side. And now Poland in trouble. They have a timeout, and they're going to need to use it. Another good defensive play by Columbia. And both teams without timeouts. Now we're going to start to see a lot of turnovers based on things that these people are using their timeouts to get them out of.
Yeah, it was a similar time that Columbia ran out of timeouts, which they have, as you said there. So they've just got to be aware of it, because I think Roscoe and Neme, players like that, even Vargas, they had moments in that final term against New Zealand where they just simply forgot that they were out of timeouts. They called for it, obviously couldn't get it. So I think the lesson learnt today for the Colombians, they've just got to be aware that they're just down to 0 timeouts and just the one coaching timeout.
Some of those situations, you're going to turn it over either way.
Yep.
But it's important to have awareness of your timeouts, how much is on the shot clock, and where the other guys are on the court. Because you can't always see that. So you take your opportunities so that you know where it is when your back's turned. Henich receives that pass and shakes Vargas. And now Columbia with the back pick, forcing Poland to attack. Roscoe unable to get around. And stolen. That's Henich. Kapusta trying to work the corner, and he's got it opened. Great job there by Witkowski to seal the baseline. And now it's a 4-try game. Columbia needs to make something happen here if they're going to get back into this. Easy score for Roscoe.
I guess the speed of this game, the score can really change quickly if you almost blink and miss it sort of stuff.
It can, and again, if you make a mistake and you don't let go of it, you can make another one so quickly, and that's how you see teams making up 3 goals back-to-back. Roscoe with his back turned to the play. Vargas holding the corner. Roscoe in the other one. Leaves Rodriguez in the middle. Vargas has to maintain chair position. And Rocky unable to get through there before the shot clock expires. Even if he had caught that, he was across the line. So Columbia with the opportunity to get one back. Neme with the inbound, and Poland again dropping into the key. Isabella Ryback in for Poland. She had a nice match yesterday. Very aggressive player.
Yeah, really tough player. Very similar to player to my Marshall from New Zealand. Just getting in there, getting her hands dirty, and creating some nice space and opportunities for guys like Wolfchuk and Kapusta to score tries.
And even being a co-ed sport, you still feel, as a female player, my understanding is that you still feel like you have to prove yourself and make your mark. And to be on a team like this, you've already done that. But it's the competitors who are looking at you a little bit differently, which is unfortunate because they've earned their spot here. Nobody's going to put a female on a roster just because they're female.
Yeah.
They have to be a good enough player to be here.
Yeah, exactly. I think the attitude of that male-female thing is just such a dated attitude.
It is.
I think it needs to really change, and people just need to be aware that, we need to acknowledge great sportsmanship or sportswomanship, whatever you want to call it. But, yeah, I just think that divide, it really needs to, be brought together, and fans and anybody that's linked with wheelchair sports just needs to really have that balanced view that, women are such an important part, and we've seen 5 great women across these 12 teams here over the last 6 days.
Yeah, and that ground broke in Beijing. I know that there were 2 female players there. Erica Schmutz from Canada, and there was a Chinese player as well. Erica, a great player. She played actually on my team, my club team in Detroit.
Okay.
Canada's basically next door.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of friends in Ontario.
Bit like us with New Zealand.
Well, for me, it's an hour drive to cross the border on a bridge.
Yeah. It's a little further swim for the Aussies.
A little bit. Probably colder as well.
Just a touch.
So Wolfsack with the try. Puts it back to 3. And Vargas will call inbound. So Roscoe getting a very rare rest. And Vargas gets it across half, but won't get much further than that. He's going to protect the ball and look for an out. Neme there to help him. 10, no dribble. Again, young player. Not used to this kind of situation. Although his bench needs to help him out there. He's right by the bench. Somebody needs to say, hey, get that ball on the floor.
Nice inbound from Poland. What can Rocky do? Oh, clever stuff to Wolfchuk.
Good ball movement. And Poland taking advantage to put them back at a 4-try lead. Only 3 minutes and 12 seconds left in the third quarter. On the other court, we've got New Zealand and Ireland. New Zealand up 40-31 on Ireland with only 7:46 left in the final quarter there. Moises Alonso taking the ball up. And he'll get his first try of the match. Now Poland coming back. Rocky again with the ball. Wolfchuk looking for the pass. And he'll go in untouched. Columbia needs to get a turnover here soon. Going into the fourth quarter with the 4-try difference is a much more difficult task. Vargas has Alonso if he can see him. Unable to face the right way and keep his head up. Got to keep your head up when you're looking for an out. Vargas working with Alonso. Vargas just sitting next to the chair of Wolfchuk. Here comes Alonso around the corner. Gets by Ryback.
Yeah, Alonso came into the game for Colombia yesterday against New Zealand around this time and was doing some similar things in terms of scoring tries and just such a great impact player for the Colombians.
Yeah, he was the man before Roscoe came around, and so he's got plenty of experience in situations like this. Although, again, this is certainly the biggest game they've ever played in. Prior to that, it was the game that got him here. So, for a South American team making it to World Championships, they're always struggling to get in there because they have to compete against Canada and the U.S. It looks like Poland player needs a wheel as well. Got to be Ryback.
I was talking to some of the Australian players about the popularity of the sport in America, and they both told me that, it's enormous. They fill out stadiums and they get some great crowds.
They can. Oh, well, we have 45 teams right now, and one of the reasons you see international players come to the U.S. is because you have that opportunity from October until February. You could play just about every weekend if you really wanted to.
Wow.
There's always a tournament going on. So, as a member of a team that has 5 or 6 teams within 5-hour driving distance,
Yep.
I can play in 10 or 12 tournaments a year. A lot of countries don't have that opportunity. Colombia, for example, there are only so many teams that they can compete against, so they don't get to play in tournaments incredibly often.
You mentioned you played for Detroit, the Motor City. What's it like in Detroit? Popular sport? A lot of people go?
We have a small team. We're actually a newer team. We split off from a team on the west side of the state, but our new team has aligned with the able-bodied rugby club. They have a two men's team and a women's team.
Sure.
The women's team has won several D1 championships in the United States.
Okay.
And they're actually playing for a D1 championship again this year, so that's pretty exciting. And our club is celebrating their 50th anniversary this weekend. I'm missing it to be here.
Yeah, wow, okay.
So, yeah, it's really actually a great model. I'm excited about getting in with the rugby community so that we can work together and support each other.
And speaking of anniversaries, the IWRF marks 25 years this year, Dave, in 1993 as the governing sport for wheelchair rugby. The IWRF would love to thank all the athletes, coaches, officials, volunteers and supporters who have contributed to this sport and hope for many, many more years in this global family.
Yeah, this sport could not be played without the volunteers. You know, we're all quadriplegics by definition, you know, with impairment in all of our limbs, or at least 3 of them. So the volunteers on the bench, the coaching, even the officials and the classifiers, the people at the scoring table, and then all the organizational stuff that happens at the IWRF or even at my level in the USQRA, it's crucial to the game to give us the opportunity to play in a fair environment, in a safe environment, and to make it possible even financially. So, yeah, we're really thankful for the IWRF and everything that they do in the international community for rugby.
And it is such a family. I mean, that's what I've noticed in my 6 years of the sport. Just everybody comes together. It doesn't matter what team you're playing for, whether it's a domestic team or an international team. You know, the feeling among the teams and among, you know, people like yourself and I in the media and other officials and delegates, it's been such a great vibe around Homebush for the last 6 days.
Yeah, and tonight there will be a reception, and no matter how hot these games get, you're going to see these guys all sitting together having a beer, you know, talking about the games, talking about what comes next for them, getting into the humanity of the brotherhood of rugby.
Should be 2 great games. USA, Great Britain for bronze, and, of course, Australia and Japan for the gold. 1:45 and 4 o'clock, bronze and gold. You'll be able to see it all here on the live streams.
Venegas does a great job of pulling that ball in that was really out at his fingertips, and he gets it to Roscoe. 1 minute, 2 seconds left. Intercepted. That'll be Wolfchuk. We'll get it to Rocky. And now Colombia in big trouble.
Yeah, starting to gap them a little bit here, Poland.
Every time Colombia chips away, they give one away. They can't seem to get any closer than 3. Looks like we got an axle popped out there for Venegas. 52.7 seconds left in the third period.
Great crowd here. You can probably hear them in the background. A lot of school kids and a lot of fans here for both Colombia and Poland. Great to see here, Dave.
And the number of fans will increase as we get closer and closer to that gold medal game. And with Australia playing in that game, I expect this place to be standing room only.
Let's hope so. It'll provide a great atmosphere here at the Key Centre.
As a player, it's just such a different experience to play when you have 1,000 or 5,000 fans, just compared to when you play in a small tournament in Pittsburgh and there's 85 people there or 150 people. It's a totally different experience.
Do you see the game differently as a commentator now?
I don't know if I see it differently, but it's nice to be able to look down from the top and kind of watch the plays develop.
Yep.
Theoretically, I could do that as a spectator, but it has given me a much greater understanding of international teams because I've had to get to know these guys' names. I've learned a little bit about a number of the players. I get to see them a couple of times a year, so it's nice. I can't wait for Tokyo. And Roscoe unable to get that last score. Just not enough speed. So at the end of the third, Poland leads Colombia 31-27. We have a 2-minute break coming up. We'll see you after that for the finale.
Hello, Jean. Good of you to let your husband borrow your brand new car. Your insurance covers you, though, right?
I think so.
Ah, Jenny, you got a new employee and a new Narazzo 1300. That machine's insured, isn't it? Date night, eh?
Yeah, and our daughter's having a few friends over.
Yeah, I saw that on social media. I take it your home is insured for that. Don't just think you're covered, know you are with GIO.
See, feel, climb. First out, last in. Look round corners, look in crannies. Go down dark alleys, lose yourself. Catch a lift, break new ground. Turn things inside out. Go walkabout, get set. Go after the goosebumps. Never stop discovering.
Linda, Lindsay, look at you two. Date night?
Our daughter set it up.
Well, that is a thoughtful child.
I know, right? She even booked us dinner in a hotel. She might even have a few friends over.
Yeah, I reckon there's 120 people coming to your house tonight. You are insured, aren't you? Don't just think your home is covered. Know it is, with accidental damage cover with GIO Platinum Home Insurance.
Welcome back to the Key Centre for this final term between Colombia and Poland. Terrific game in progress. John O'Farr and Dave Mengen in commentary this morning. Poland by 4. And it looks as though they're on the attack poles. But Wolfchuk just calls an equipment timeout, Dave.
Poland really needs to, or I apologize, Colombia needs to do something here to make a turnover, because they are getting to the point where it's going to be extremely difficult to turn this game over. And they're looking for every opportunity. I'm assuming that their coach has made some strategic changes to try and give them a little bit of an advantage and get that first turnover, try and create some momentum. Poland able to waste 30 seconds already.
Really nice protection close to the line there for Rubak, allowing Wolfchuk to get the try there, Dave. She's just been such a great player, as Venegas can't quite hold the molten ball.
And that's not what Colombia needs if they're going to get back into this game. Poland starting to pull away here. 7.5 minutes left in the game. Colombia fighting to get position, to keep that inbound from getting onto the floor. And again, neither team has a timeout, so they can't save themselves from things like a 10-second clock. Rocky working it around. He knows he's got lots of time. Shot clock down to 26. New Zealand up 47-37 on Ireland with only 2:41 left in that game. And Poland makes this a 6-try match. Roscoe gets it over the top to Vargas. They'll want to score quickly. They don't have the time to waste here. Not if they're going to get back into it.
Thought the intensity might have lifted a little bit like we normally see in the fourth term in games here, but Colombia seem to be playing a pretty relaxed style of play. Would you agree, Dave?
Well, I think Poland is controlling that. Poland is very methodical, taking their time, because every second they waste is another opportunity that Columbia doesn't have to get back into this game. So you'll see them turn back away from the key and just pass the ball around.
Soak up time.
Yeah. Anything they can do to make sure that they win this game. Wolfchuk just dribbling next to him. He doesn't have to do anything other than that. Ryback gets around the corner. Reached by Venegas, but didn't come all the way out. Now 6.5 minutes left. If Columbia is going to get back into this game, they can't allow a minute to go between scores. Neme with the ball. He's going to look to get it back to Roscoe. And stripped by Ryback. And he tries to get the jump, but too much contact, and he'll go to the penalty box. Carlos Neme, the captain of Columbia, trying to make something happen. We'll see Vargas, number 11, come back.
Venegas is off.
Rodriguez back in as well. And Ryback. Cross half, that's really what they need, is just to get across half. Another try for Poland makes it 35-28, just under 6 minutes to play. The match after this will be our bronze medal match. Again, that is the UK and the United States. I expect a great one there. U.S. taken down by Japan by a pretty significant margin. And GB just lost to Australia by 2 points, I believe it was.
Yep.
Very close game.
Yeah, really strong performance from the Australian Steelers, a different one. Jimmy Roberts was really strong. I thought Jonathan Coggan, a low pointer, just superb for Great Britain. But, yeah, it was Brad Dubley's nice execution and game management that just got the job done then. He used Bondi and Bat really well, and his low pointers as well in Ozan and
both of those teams have had a great tournament.
Yeah.
And GB, for Great Britain to come here and get into the medal round, they've been on the outside looking in so many times in 5th position, and this is really big for them. And they have a great shot at getting a bronze medal here. If they can maintain their composure and play like they played all week, they could certainly do it. Roscoe works his way around, and with just over 5 minutes, Poland leads with 6 tries, 36-30. Wolfchuk ducks underneath Ryback, looking to throw it ahead to Rocky, but he gets it to Ryback. Ryback looking, gets it to Rocky. And you're going to see Wolfchuk get up top. Rocky going to take his time. 19 left on the shot clock. Has he dribbled? Doesn't need to now. And with only 9 on the shot clock, Poland grinding that clock down, making Columbia's chances at getting back into this game slimmer and slimmer.
Yeah, I'm interested to see 2 players for Poland, if they get some game time in this, in Sierakowski and Lakmanowicz. Both played some pivotal roles the last couple of days for Poland. They were brought late into the game. It'll be interesting to see if the Polish coaching staff will bring those 2 players into the game. Do you think so, Dave?
We saw Lakmanowicz early in this game.
Okay.
He didn't play very long.
Right.
But I think as the teams feel like the outcome is decided, you'll see some players rewarded with some play time. But again, this is important. This is about a ranking, a world ranking. So no one's going to take any chances that could risk that. You do see number 3, Kapusta, sitting in the sub box. And this equipment timeout is not an opportunity where you can substitute, so he will stay there.
It looks like an equipment timeout called, Dave, for Wolfchuk again. You can see the Polish crew coming across and just fixing that left wheel.
Oh, looks like it's just an axle. I was going to say he's been through several tires in this game. I think the most I've ever gone through is 5 1/4, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's intense.
It gets expensive.
Yeah.
Neme unable to knock Wolfchuck into the corner. Roscoe going to hurry. Try and put a try on the board. He does. 38-32. Poland leads with only 3:41 in this game.
I was chatting earlier in the week with Jens Skarubo, and he mentioned that the cost of a wheel is around that €40 mark, which would be about $20 or $30 Australian.
For the tire itself, yeah. The tubes are another 15, and those are the things that usually go. But if the tire gets damaged in that hit, these tires, unless you have the Schmeckings, which go to like 220 pounds, we're talking about 130, 140 pounds of pressure. So if somebody hits you, they're compressing that tire and the tube, and they're hitting their metal of their chair onto the metal of your rim. So a lot of times you get damage on the tire if it gets pinched in between there. And you also get damage to the rim, and the rims themselves are $800.
Wow, okay.
So they'll add up quickly.
I was going to say, things can get expensive quickly.
Yeah, the chair that we're auctioning off for the Hall of Fame from Vesco, they say that's valued up to $9,000, including all the accessories and a wheel bag. So that gives you an idea of what it costs to get a chair. Most people won't spend $9,000. My chair usually costs between $6,500 and $7,000.
Okay.
And
yeah,
if
it's still pretty expensive.
And if you play as often as I do, I play most of the minutes and most of the games on my team.
Sure.
You can go through a chair every 2 years.
Okay.
So unless you have sponsorships or type of insurance, or you just can afford to, it makes it a challenge. So you see a lot of used chairs out there for developing teams and developing countries, which is what makes the sport possible for a lot of people. You know, Colombia made their own chairs when they first started.
Wow.
And their wheels were so fragile that we were told when we played against them not to hit them too hard because they would just explode.
Oh, wow.
They were just bicycle rims, and they had a plastic wheel guard on top of it that was held on by just little tabs, and they would just snap, and it was just so mess.
Shatter, and yeah.
And you don't want to ruin their chairs. You want them to be able to play with each other, but
yeah.
And now they're all pushing Vescos.
Big margin here for Poland, 7 points. 6 points, I should say. 3 minutes left in this quarter. You can see the Polish side just having a board meeting there with the coaching staff. Such a passionate country. Day one, I managed to call their first game. And, they get behind the anthem. All were singing, hands on hearts. They're a proud nation, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And, all you hear about another country is the things that are newsworthy. So, like, when I first spent my first 6 weeks in Colombia, all they knew about the United States is what everybody knows about the United States. They're bullies. They want to get their way with everything, right? And you go to a country like Colombia, and all I know is drug trafficking and cartels. And so I had the opportunity to actually meet people and find out that we all have the same needs and the same desires and the same kind of problems. And it really brought, the first thing that somebody said to me when I was there, when I met, he says, "Oh, I hate Americans." Like, you don't even know me.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not a fan of a lot of things that go on politically either, but we're all people, and we're all just trying to get by and fight through and play rugby and make our families happy. And
first time to Australia?
Mine, yes. Unfortunately, I'm only here for 5 days, so I'm really not going to see anything.
Yeah.
It's a work trip. But I intend to come back. If I end up doing commentary in Tokyo, I'll probably bring my wife and son, and we'll come down, see New Zealand and Australia and Japan, maybe make a 3-4 week trip out of it.
Yeah.
So Poland still up by 6 over Colombia with 2.5 minutes left. Looks like Kapusta needs a wheel.
I think that's maybe the first or second change in this term for a wheel. So starting to slow down a little bit, which is pretty good to see.
The pace of this game has changed significantly, and again, that's Poland driving that. They've done a great job of gamesmanship, managing the clock, taking advantage of the turnovers that came their way. Colombia's had some turnovers, but they haven't been able to take advantage of all of them. And even though they've fought back and from a deficit and taken the lead and fought back again, they haven't been able to get back to the point where the game's going to be competitive. And that game goes right off the hands of Christian Amaya into the post. Colombia trying to make something happen here, just nothing else for their own self-respect.
Yeah, the pace and intensity's dropped off just a little bit, and it's interesting to note that with just over 2 to play in this game, both sides have run out of coaching timeouts and regular timeouts.
Well, there have been so many things that people have had to use their timeouts for to save them from a turnover, and then when you get a roll, somebody gets on a roll and gets a run of 2 or 3 goals, you have to use those coach timeouts just to try and break the momentum. And even though with 2 minutes left, Colombia is still down by 6, you're going to see them pushing. They came all this way. They're going to fight to the end. We have, is that a coach's timeout? I don't think they have one, do they?
No, they've
it's
run
an
out.
Official timeout. Officials talking to the technical delegation down there at the scoring table. I don't know if somebody's questioning the score or... While it's much harder to call the game from that vantage point, you can hear the conversations at the table so you can find out what's going on with the referees. And in case you aren't watching the other game, it looks like New Zealand has just finished off Ireland 51-40. New Zealand takes 11th, and Ireland the 12th place team in this tournament. Ireland's had some great matches. They've fought really hard, and I'm sure they're disappointed, but it was really fun to watch them.
Oh, terrific side. Alan Deneen.
Deneen had a great tournament, both defensively and offensively.
Yeah, just involved in absolutely everything, wasn't he? I thought Kira Staunton was one of their star players as well. He's really stepping up.
She's a great player. Yeah, I had the opportunity to play with both of those guys in South America one time. We played on the same team.
Nice inbounder, creates opportunities early for a side.
So that's a great pick. Lead you up the court, and she pushes hard on every play.
Thomas Moylan just involved in so many tries.
Yeah, and he really makes that team go. But they played without him yesterday. I don't know why he went out after the first quarter.
Right.
But Ireland still, they were in that game. Something must have happened. He must have had an injury or something.
Possibly. Steve Almer, another player, the number 8.
He didn't play as much. I was surprised. He's a younger guy, I think, on the team as far as experience.
Came late into the game against Australia a couple of days ago.
But he has a promising career ahead of him if he keeps at it. You know, you can have all the potential in the world, but if you don't put in the time and effort, you'll just be another player. Neme inbounds quickly. Poland slowly back. That was a shorthanded goal. Kind of puts a nail in the coffin. Roscoe trying to get around. Again, 3-on-4. And he does. So Ryback gets out of the box. Poland back at full strength. 42-36. A minute 29 left. Roscoe with the hit, swinging at the ball. Carlos Neme intercepts the pass and knocked down. We see that so much in rugby. There's a turnover, and the guy who gets the ball feels there's so much intensity around it, he forgets that he's got 40 seconds. Now, obviously, in this situation, they don't have 40 seconds. It's a minute 11 left in the game, and they're down by 6. But you get a turnover, you can't just give it right back like that.
Yeah, it's so crucial to just, after all that work, to get the ball.
It happens in pairs at every level of the sport. We see it internationally. We see it in club teams. It's just, you as a player, you have to learn, get that ball, and to just, even if you need to take a second and just kind of collect yourself and say, okay, what am I going to do next?
Looks like Neme and Rimmer on that sideline. Neme will inbound it very shortly. Rimmer just on the sideline there for Poland in the box.
And Orozco's going to wait for him. Wolfchuk had to wait, try and decide what Neme was going to do, and gave him an opportunity for Orozco to get through.
Nice little impact play, Dominic Reimer. He's just about to inbound it now for Poland, but he's created plenty of chances for Poland, especially in clutch situations, and I thought worked pretty well with Matthias Wolfchuk.
And I think we got a vertical spin.
Yeah, Wolfchuk looks like he's come down. Nice little bit of sportsmanship there from Amaya. Just giving him a little bit of tap, making sure he's okay.
Nobody really wants anybody else to get hurt out here.
Oh, no, absolutely not. But it's always good to see some of that camaraderie. You rarely see it in sports these days, that sort of little handshake or just tap to make sure everything's
a hand to lift
okay.
guy up off the ground, sure.
Yeah.
Well, especially as rivalries build. You know, there are some rivalries in this sport where there's no love lost. Guys will play nice when they're off the court, but sometimes they just don't like each other. So Ryback with the try makes it 43-37 and only 42 seconds left. Columbia will still be aggressive here. Rodriguez with the pass catch gets it back to Roscoe. And that'll be 38 for Columbia. 28 and a half left in this game. Roscoe gets his hand in there, but Wolfchuk able to get it back. Oh, that was very close to over and back, but he got it out of his hands. And Ryback makes it 44 for Poland. So 15 seconds. Columbia will inbound. Try and get the last score here. Roscoe ducks underneath Neme again. And Amaya up top. Roscoe with 2.3 left on the clock. And Poland will finish this off. They'll take the inbound, try and get it cleanly, and call this a win. So Poland winning this game, going home in 10th place. Columbia, no, I take that back. 9th place. Columbia in 10th place. Both teams should be proud of their performances this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Poland, a side that had a couple of wins, couple of losses. Columbia, they were on the receiving end of a few losses like they have today. Got a couple of wins in the tournament. But, you know, as you said, both sides really putting everything on the line. 5 points the margin, so they've really given us a superb game, as you can see. Both sides coming together here, Dave.
And both sides had a win in this contest. Columbia won the first, Poland the second. They're fairly evenly matched. Poland just did a better job of taking advantage of their opportunities in this one.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the handshakes, you know, it's a rugby tradition. I think a good one.
Oh, I think it's a terrific one. Shows great sportsmanship. You can see all the players and coaches and officials coming together there. I think it's a great thing for the sport and really shows you that we're just one big family.
And that's really what matters at the end of the day. You know, this sport is so much more than just a game. It gives people opportunities to see what they're capable of.
Oh, absolutely.
I see so many young guys come to this sport not knowing what they're capable of. And when they see someone else with less function doing more than they ever thought they could do, it really opens up their eyes and opens up their horizons.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. It's been a good game.
Yeah, and we're happy to be here. We will be back in about a half an hour for the next match between United States and Great Britain. Please join us. We'll see you then.